Hello and welcome to LTV News. I'm Daniel Adam and these are the day's top stories. Israeli warplanes target military camps in Gaza. America braces itself as Hurricane Sandy approaches. And Italy and Spain meet over the Eurozone crisis. Starting with the latest from the Middle East. Following rockets fired into southern Israel from Gaza early this morning, Israeli warplanes bombarded the El Barouj camp. The Israeli military said the target of the strike was a militant base. The incidents followed a three-day rest since an uprising in violence last week in which Israel killed at least 4 Gaza militants, also in which dozens of rockets were fired at Israeli towns, damaging homes. Though the Islamist Hamas is hostile to the Jewish state, it's recently sought to avoid cross-border confrontations. Israel's policy is to hold Hamas responsible for any attacks emanating from Gaza. Staying in the region now, Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak has met US General Martin Dembski in Tel Aviv. The meeting has taken place whilst both countries are holding a major missile defense exercise in Israel. Many believe that it's aimed at sending a message towards Iran and its disputed nuclear program.
And I'm honored to be here and to see our soldiers working together as we always do, our airmen, our sailors, because this is a joint exercise that seeks to help us cooperate against not just long-range missiles, but rockets and artillery, and so I'm very excited about the opportunity.
Over 10,000 prisoners of war in Libya are still expecting their freedom 1 year after the country's civil war ended. Dates for their trials have been postponed indefinitely. An estimated 30,000 people were killed after anti-regime protests swept through the country last year. Although most of Libya is now relatively stable, divisions have been created and sporadic violence still occurs. Many of those in prison now say that it's time for the Libyans to forgive and forget. Turkey fired artillery into Syria today following an incident of cross-border mortar bombing. A local villager said three shells landed in Turkish territory, but no casualties were reported. Heavy machine gun fire and the sound of mortar bombs were heard along the border near the Syrian town of Haram. It's not clear whether the firing came from the Syrian army or from anti-regime rebels. The bloodshed in Syria has worsened in the past 2 months, although neither side has been able to gain a distinct advantage. Tensions between Ankara and Damascus have been simmering since a shell fired by Syrian forces killed 5 civilians in a Turkish border town earlier this month. Ankara has since retaliated repeatedly and threatened further action if shelling continues. Moving on to world news. US President Barack Obama warns East Coast residents that Hurricane Sandy is a serious and big storm. At the Federal Emergency Management Agency headquarters in Washington, D.C., Obama delivered a statement urging residents to prepare for Hurricane Sandy. Several American states along the eastern seabed have now declared states of emergency. In New York City, Mayor Michael Bloomberg has ordered a mandatory evacuation of parts of the city, as well as ordered the closure of all public schools today. The city's public transport services have also been closed. It's estimated Sandy could affect around 50 million people. More than 700 flights have been cancelled. Forecasters said Sandy is a rare hybrid superstorm. Haitians are picking up the pieces from the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. Many parts of the island are now underwater and fears are growing of a cholera epidemic. The UN has expressed serious concerns as over the past few years, the island has been hit with a number of natural disasters. Head of the Office for Foreign Affairs, Jean Peelman, has also voiced major concern.
What we fear most is that there might be spikes in waterborne diseases, especially cholera, which we always see after flooding or rains in Haiti. And obviously, these people need to be fed. They need blankets, they need temporary shelter, tents, tarpaulins, some basic tools to restart their lives because they've lost everything in their houses.
The Ukrainian capital, Kiev, woke up to a cold but very calm morning today after the exit polls gave the election win to President Viktor Yanukovych's party of the regions. Initial results indicate that his party has secured a parliamentary majority following the election, but will face an opposition boosted by nationalists and a liberal party led by boxing champion Vitaly Klitschko. Although the ruling party has now claimed victory, the opposition is also believed to have gained major ground. England's cricket team have arrived in Mumbai this morning amid high security for the forthcoming Test series. England's last tour of India was played out against a backdrop of the 2008 Mumbai attacks, in which 166 people were killed. This time round, a delegation from the England Cricket Board have inspected some of the stadiums beforehand, where they also carried out security checks. The tour will last for around 3 months, during which England will return home for Christmas and New Year. Now to economy news. Japan's automaker Honda cut its full-year net profit forecast by a fifth today. Honda cut its forecast of sales in China in 2012 to 620,000 vehicles from its previous forecast of 750,000. The cut, prompted by a slump in sales amid violent protests in a dispute about ownership of islands in the East China Sea, makes it likely that bigger Japanese rival Nissan and Toyota will follow suit when they report quarterly earnings this week. Honda officials warned it could be February before business in the world's biggest auto market returns to normal. Italian Prime Minister Mario Monti has met Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy in Madrid today. Some expect Italy to keep pushing Spain to seek a bailout in order to lower borrowing costs for other Eurozone countries. It's the fourth meeting this year between the two leaders, whose countries are in the eye of the Eurozone crisis. The euro fell today, hurt by uncertainty over whether Greece can agree to a deal on austerity, and with no sign of when Spain might request aid. A Spanish bailout would enable the European Central Bank to buy the country's bonds. Traders said unless Spain seeks a rescue, sentiment towards the euro is unlikely to turn positive. Many believe today's meeting is an attempt to show a united front in their approach to the Eurozone crisis. Germany, the biggest contributor to the European Stability Management ESM, continues to insist that Spain does not need a bailout. Now let's take a look at the world of sports. Serena Williams beat Maria Sharapova 6-4, 6-3 in the WTA Championships final in Istanbul yesterday, making it her 7th WTA title of the year. In a near-faultless performance by the 15 Grand Slam tournament champion, Williams never faced a break point during the final, and it was able to produce winners every time she was put under pressure by her Russian opponent. The 31-year-old also lifted signals Also lifted signals silverware at this year at Wimbledon, the US Open, the London Olympics, Madrid, Charleston and Stanford. Now, ending with a more unconventional sports story, the annual buffalo race has kicked off today in southeast of Bangkok. More than 30 buffaloes from across Chonburi province are competing in the 100-meter race. The winner will receive a trophy from the Thai royal family as well as $500. The event has attracted people from across the world.
Yeah, I heard there was some bulls out here today. It seems like a pretty interesting experience to try to see something new in the Bangkok area. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here and seeing who wins.
And finally, ending on a spooky note, over 100 people dressed up in their best zombie costumes have taken to the streets of Singapore to participate in the first ever zombie walk held in the city. Many in the country are hailing it as a worldwide phenomenon. The zombie walk is a public gathering where people with a common interest for The Walking Dead dress up as zombies using elaborate makeup and costumes and walk around the city imitating the dead. That brings us to the end of today's bulletin, but before we go, let's take a look back at the day's top stories. Israeli warplanes target military camps in Gaza. America braces itself as Hurricane Sandy approaches. And Italy and Spain meet over the Eurozone crisis. Thanks for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow. But until then, from all of us here at the Levant News Team, goodbye.